Elliot? Okay.
It's 5:38. We'll call the committee meetings of the Port Allen City Council to order for May 3rd, 2023. At this time, I'd like to request everyone either turn off or silence your electronic devices. Again, we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the Public Safety Committee to order to establish a quorum. May we have a roll call?
Mr. Riviere?
Here.
Ms. Lacy?
Present.
Ms. Gordon?
Here.
Holmes present.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4, the Police Department report. Chief Hicks.
Good evening, how y'all doing?
Hey, Chief.
Mayor, leading Public Safety Committee, in order to keep both yourself and the City Council aware of the activities of Port Allen Police Department, all for the account for the month of April 2023, we responded to 250 calls, 38 alarm home businesses, 5 assist the Port Allen Fire Department, 7 suspicious person, 18 disturbance, 8 theft, 5 remaining, 5 hit and run, 5 civil matters, 30 Port Allen Fire Department medical information, 13 traffic stops, 7 domestic, 8 incidents by location: northeast Court Street, LA 148, northwest of Court Street, LA 173, southeast of Court Street, LA 146, southwest of Court Street, LA 161, south by 1026. Total number of suspects arrested 23, traffic crashes 33, and traffic tickets 31.
Chief, in the hit and run incident, did y'all catch them?
No, just going by the information that we get from the victim that's hit by the information and getting the license plate number, then we'll go from there and turn it over to the detectives where they can get on, jump on it, where they can get a hold of these people that hit these individuals and drive off. A lot of times they don't have insurance, they probably have insurance warrants out for their arrest, so that's why they do the scene of the accident.
So no one was injured?
No.
What is that? What about the one on Coach Street last month? Somebody got hit on the bike?
That was out the city limits, right there
it was
from
right
the church, right there. There's
Oh, is that where it was at?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Incident guy came into the path of the vehicle and he got hit. From last information I got, he was in critical condition, but I think he's doing all right now.
Okay.
The driver wasn't at fault for it. Guy didn't have no reflectors, nothing on his bicycle to keep him from being hit.
Okay. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was.
The sheriff's office working. It was good.
It's about by Westgate? I thought it was sitting in
Even
No,
Poplar too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Westgate. No, he ain't here by Westgate though.
yeah, that's what you said, by Westgate.
First view, it was by the new
The
service.
subject wasn't you.
Yeah, they just had to do the sign.
Anything else, Chief?
That's it.
That's why we need sidewalks. Sidewalks.
That's dog right there. That's not the first.
It's a bad area down there.
I think that's what the panic had finna do, put the sidewalks down there.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Item number 5, the nuisance violation report. Inspector Gibby.
I know council, their guests, for the month of April 2023, I had a total of 16 cases. I had 3 34, 4, 12 to keep in 1 George, 1 36, 16 junk vehicles. I had 12 high grass violations, 4 of them closed and 12 still open. Another thing I had a few, as I was riding around, I seen they had a couple of more blighted properties out and we need to check and see what our ordinances, trying to get some of our ordinances and stuff updated so we can actually try and get those tore down or, fixed up in the time now. Yeah, I serve them, but like I say, the properties that I have, and I was telling you, the one that I served on Michigan, somebody called me and left a message and said that that's not their property, so,
What?
I had to go back and, get the name off the answer machine. Okay.
Lance,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me, how do you go by, you go in a certain area on certain times to be able to gather this information? I'm just looking down this list.
Yeah, what I do is.
So you're on the avenues right now?
I do like different sides, like in the mornings when I come in, I do different sides. Like you have 4 different sides of the city. So I just go through all 4 of the sides and, just run through and check.
Cause I'm just looking at the name on here. I see Eric Payne, Avenue C. You saw his trash, but you don't see all that trash at the Phillips yard on Court Street? And the man yard on
12th Street.
12th Street, you don't see all that either? Like, we always look like we see him, but we don't see nobody else with all these junk vehicles in their yard. Maybe we could start looking at them too when we start looking at junk vehicles.
Right.
In some other people's yards at that.
Especially when on 12th Street with all the lawnmowers.
Well, Council, the way you handle the situation is we take advantage of the ones that file complaints. Because if we go down every street, you can go to every street, there's a bank,
They file complaint on Malin Street.
But we handle the complaint first before we handle anything else.
Okay, they file complaints on Malin Street. I still didn't see where any other violations was taking place. They had a whole committee formed on Malin Street. I didn't see where any other violations was took place.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm saying, when the formulation of the committee that addressed the cars and abandoned cars, I said, I don't see where all the cars on Malin Street was put in violation, because it was not just the one that was in question. It was some other ones that could have been looked at if they, when they were talking about the whole Malin Street. So somebody did complain, is what I'm saying.
And that's what we said, we take the complaints first, and then anything else that you see after that, you address.
I don't see nothing on Malin Street. Wasn't that not a complaint?
Well, every complaint doesn't lead to an actual citation.
But if it's in violation, why wouldn't it?
Well, that's the question.
But
It
if-
may not have been in violation. I mean, you
are.
gotta be specific. We can talk about specifics anytime you like, but as far as just general information, you're gonna get far more complaints than citations. So, if that's something specific that you want addressed, then just, send it on through and we'll take a look at it.
So in other words, you are saying everything that's on here for violation, it was reported to you?
Majority of them, yeah.
Majority of?
Lance, when you said earlier, we need to look at the ordinance and it's just for informational purposes. Where do you feel that there's a loophole or we're lacking, or something that needs to be?
Like I said, more so like the junk and abandoned vehicles, ordinances, basically how long you give a person for, blighted properties, or how long the blighted property's been, blighted for so long or whatever without lights and water, and, how can we expedite that? Different natures of that, just to upgrade, some of them.
So kind of put a number to it,
Right.
a range, number range on the days, and is what you're saying.
Right.
So let me just make sure I get this right. These are people that complain about these, everybody on this list, it was somebody complaining about it, right?
I mean, majority of it is basically, like I say, high grade. So, I mean, you're going to ride around and you're going to actually see the high grades. So, I mean, basically, that's a complaint in itself.
It's in the gray area.
So no one ever complained on Court Street? about the cars there?
Not really.
And you never saw all the
I
cars
see,
there?
like I said, I see the cars, but they back off the road.
Because the house off the roads.
Some of it have to deal with, I mean, some of the issues are taking private property, so I mean,
All of them private property.
so I mean, how would you necessarily, like you mentioned the water, I didn't get that, you said water, gas, not only one.
Oh, yeah, I'm saying with the blighted properties, you know, some of the blighted properties, like I say, have been blighted for a while, the roofs is caving in and, you know, some of the doors are open, things of that nature, you know, which is a blighted property. I mean, we can send a notice off, some of the houses still have like the old address on it and, you know, you still have to go and find who's responsible for it, but then if that's the only owner that owns it, I mean, what's the next step? And then you can't find them.
I don't know what's the next step.
Next step is you wait on the process. The process is you serve them a note,
That was the
and
question.
then, you know, we wait for the return to come back. And that's the bulk of it. I mean, a lot of these properties, you got multiple owners, you got multiple letters go out, you gotta wait for a return. You can't do anything until you get a return.
If you get one.
For purposes of
Yeah, I just want to know what the next step
the,
is.
the condemnation proceedings, you know, that's one where you find a building or a facility is not up to code or dilapidated somehow. For example, those, that, even though you may have ordinances that address that subject matter, it's really state statute that controls that process. State statute allows you to do ordinances that further support that, but you can't conflict with that. So, you know, a lot of those time periods that are in your ordinances, y'all put them in your ordinances way back when because they were required by state statute. They're still required by state statute. So, I mean, that's just on the condemnation side of it. You know, there are different statutes depending on if you have a high grass type situation, a nuisance situation in the yard. If it's a junky yard, you know, maybe there's nothing wrong with the building, the structure itself that's on the property, but it's just a matter of how the property is kept. So, I mean, any type of changes that the administration wants to propose, you know, we can look at that. You know, one of the first things that we're gonna look at though is see, okay, whether any proposed changes to our ordinance is gonna conflict with state statute as to that process that happens for that particular type of enforcement action.
Well, wouldn't time limits, that could be determined by municipality,
Some of them.
some of
A
it.
lot of them on the condemnation, though, you have them in your ordinances, but they're in your ordinances because that's what state statute requires you to put in your ordinances.
Okay.
So, would there be any instances where we could pass a city ordinance that would override, no?
You can't override state statute.
State trumps everything.
Anything else for Lane? Thank you, Lane.
You up?
Item number 6, adjourn.
Public Work Committee, call to order. Call to order, please.
Gotta say it.
Establish a quorum, roll call, please.
Ms. Gordon,
You here?
Mr. Riviere,
Here.
Mr. Brown.
I'm looking at it still. Adjourn, please. Oh, excuse me.
Is that a committee?
Hold on a minute. Hold on.
I'm sorry, could I say something regarding Public Works?
Okay.
I want to thank Councilman Riviere, Councilman Hubble, and Mr. Joseph for dealing with a storm drain issue we had on our street, Avenue B. They were able to get the vacuum truck out from the parish very quickly to get that section taken care of. But I'd also like to know, apparently one of the older concrete drainage lines has some root intrusion on it, and I was wondering what the procedure is for that type of issue, because it's eventually going to cause another major clog, you know, in a shorter amount of time period than it normally would happen because of food intrusion. Thoughts?
Well, you can get with our DPW, Mr. Dow Lewis, and he can explain to you what's gonna happen with that.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I don't know how many people saw it, but Jason had a pump out there pumping water out of those catch basins after that rain. I mean, I know it's not funny, but I appreciate you doing that.
It's fun playing in the rain.
Yeah.
I just want to ask one question. I'm on the list.
Okay.
Just want to ask, and first of all, sewage has been draining well since Mardi Gras. So, that's good. And the holes from the drain in the front that caused, there's some problem in the front as well, but that's caused holes across. And Gary called, Aaron, and Aaron sent somebody out there and he filled those. I just want to say thank you for that, because it didn't fix the problem, but it covered up the hole. So now I can cut grass without, I can literally put my foot through the holes in the front along the drainage line. So thanks for that. We'll see how long it takes for it to erode again, and we'll call again. But I'm here asking just about the ordinance. I was here 2 months ago. I couldn't come last month. 2 months ago, we were talking about it was going to be, and I know you're saying maybe next month. Just want to make sure that we keep doing that, because winter's coming again. It's going to start raining again, and I will have to be calling again to get y'all to come unblock the street so that I have working sewage again. So I just want to not forget about the ordinance, and that's all.
Yeah.
And, we are still working on it. I'd like to thank Mr. Hammock. He did submit some information for us to consider in terms of maybe some additional testing requirements, different methods of testing that perhaps the city could require. So we are looking into those as well, and we maybe not next week, but I think certainly we could have ordinance ready for maybe final adoption at June's meeting.
And I don't know what the problem is with along the front of my property, there are 4 drains where the culvert runs. Now, there shouldn't be, as far as I know, my sewage stuff is on the back side of the house on the other side, so there's nothing there. And the worker was out there filling the dirt. I went out to thank him for doing it, and he said, "What is that smell out here?" He said, "This is awful." And I said, "Actually, it doesn't smell that bad right now. You need to come back around 5 o'clock. So I don't know what's causing that, but obviously, it always smells out there. So just something else. It's a problem, but thanks.
Thank you, Harry.
That'll be all. Adjourn again.
Community Development Committee, item number 1, call order. Item number 2, establish quorum. Item number 3, roll call.
Mr. Brown?
Here.
Ms. Lacy? Mr. Hubble?
Here.
One present.
Item number 4, update on community development activities. Ms. Rosa.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, members of the council, elected officials, and our guest present here today, good evening. We're just gonna update you on a few of the events and activities that are going on, and we've been quite busy for the last 30 days, within the city of Port Allen, following the Easter holidays. Of course, we celebrated our Hearts of the Champion, celebrating our champions for Port Allen High School. We will publish a formal thank you note to our contributors and those that come in to really make this a great success. Every year, our community really come together. But I want to mention the folk that we had on our list. And of course, let's just start off with our Councilman Hugh Riviere. We had also a Parish Councilman, Kerry Densto, our Parish President, Mr. Kiwi Berkeley. We had we had a couple of sheriff candidates. One is Mr. Leo Fontenot, who donated. The big one came from PEC. Thank you, PEC. Baton Rouge Coca-Cola Bottling Company, who gave us product and cups. Mr. Zach Simmons, who contributed over 15 sacks of crawfish and boredom. LouisianaSeafood.com, who donated 150 pounds of catfish and 50 pounds of shrimp. and Chief Carl Dunn, who brought his wife and his crew, and they fried all the fish and shrimp and helped us to feed the people. We'd like to thank Mr. Jason Manola, who donated and cooked the jambalaya. And of course, last but not least, somebody who's back there really sweating with us, Mr. Jeff Bajeron, who donated, cooked, and served smoked chicken and green beans and salad with us. And they stayed there and helped us clean up until the end, even taking the containers back to the folk where they belong. And our youth really, really appreciated their efforts, and everybody just came out and really donated their time and talents. And we will come back with an ad thanking them publicly again. And moving forward with other events that have happened, West Baton Rouge actually was the center point for kicking off Blues Week, even though it's a regional thing, and they had their event on the 22nd of April, and where Kenny Neal, our hometown boy, came in and did an interview and a concert for everybody, and it went off extremely well. But we still have a lot of things we're into for this month. On tomorrow, we have our National Day of Prayer that will be held at the Port Allen Depot at 6 o'clock. Through the National Park for us, we will recognize our Kids to Park Day on May 20th. Council Lady Lacy is sponsoring a Blues and Zydeco Festival also on the 20th downtown Port Allen. The One Port Allen Committee, along with the sponsorship of West Baton Rouge Parish and the City of Port Allen, will hold its Family Day in the Park on the 27th. And of course, the annual Juneteenth Day will be held June 17th and 18th at Wiggins and Lee Park. We're rolling on it. We'll come back with details as we get them done. We're trying to get contracts signed. We're trying to get things in for our events that we're involved in. We see everybody just going around here and chipping in to make all these things possible and to bring positive light on Port Allen. And all that I know is appreciated by the city, that it's not just a burden on the city, but incorporation and making the city look good. But other than that, I can entertain any questions at this time.
Okay, Ms. Rowland? Item number 5, discuss microbrewery ordinance introduced in January 2023.
I'll pass this to Lance.
Okay.
Lance, can you explain kind of what we're?
All right, so as you recall, we discussed this back in January, and we wanted to make some edits to the actual draft presented. I think Ms. Alvarez has completed some of those edits, and in order to have a better understanding, we're going to set up a meeting here on the 3rd floor to review the ordinance, and then if we're able to pass it next week, we can, since it's already been introduced. If not, we can reintroduce next week and pass it in June to take effect in July with the beginning of the fiscal year. But we're still on track to have it enacted by July 1st. It's just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's one last time before we proceed. Any questions on that? All right, so we can move on to the next.
Ms. Charlene? Yeah, I mean,
Okay, Ms. Johnson, Alicia Johnson, can you come forward? They want to speak on behalf of their basketball team.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm Alicia Johnson. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come to you. We started a AAU basketball team for the youth in West Baton Rouge. This is our first year. So we have about 40 kids, ages from 8 to 14. We have 3 boys team and 1 girls team. And we are trying to enter them into different various tournaments, some in Baton Rouge, some Houston, Atlanta. You know, it's like a travel team. So we have a lot of kids that don't have parent support. And then we also have children, parents with 2 and 3 children on a team. It could be costly. To register a child for AAU is like $30 per child, along with the uniform, shoes, all of the accessory that comes with it. So what we have been doing is we have been getting together, like the parents who already paid for their child uniform, which is altogether is $250 per child. They have been helping with those who are less fortunate. So now we at the point to where we have exalted them as much as we can. So we be going to various businesses in the community. We went to Baton Rouge, asking for sponsors, asking for donations. We're gonna do fundraisers as well. So it don't really have to be like a monetary donation. It could be whatever the parish can help us with. Because we want to include all the kids. We don't really want to leave any of them behind. We just trying to do something positive so they can stay out of trouble. So we're just asking, what can the parish do to assist us?
We the city.
City, parish, it's all the same.
When do the tournaments?
Okay, we have one May 13th. That's the one at McKinney High. It's local.
When y'all fundraising is?
We have a fundraiser this Saturday. It's at 10 o'clock. It's going to be at 132 South 12th Street, which is the home of Travis Spears. That fundraiser is a car wash. We're also doing crawfish and boiled meat that we're selling. So we pretty much have everything for this Saturday. We're looking for stuff for our other events. We're hosting a tournament that we're hosting, and with that tournament, it'll be at Pride Middle. It's June 11th and 10th and 11th. That tournament is teams entering. They pay to enter. We're gonna sell concessions and then pay to enter at the door. So that money will be going to the team to help. We have a $6,000 target. That $6,000 is for the July 7th through 9th Who Fest, which is in Houston. And that will cover the rooms for all of our children, transportation, and for us to feed them as well for the weekend. Now we do have parents that will be there. Of course, we have parents that's coming. So we all gonna help each other out the best we can. Mr. Burks? Any questions?
Any questions, comments, suggestions?
Is there the way that we can help them?
So, what is specific? Instead of what is specific are y'all asking for help with? The uniform? Because I think we limited to what the city does. How does that?
We hadn't
without
made
being
that
in a
really-
cooperative endeavor.
You would, have y'all formed a nonprofit corporation?
Oh,
Okay, so y'all don't have any type of corporate entity right now, it's just a group of people that's
Yes.
working together?
And most everybody on the team have uniforms. We have a few kids don't have their shoes.
So what the city has traditionally done, if it, elect to cooperate, in an endeavor like this, is usually the entity presents like a wish list of some type of equipment, some kind of tangible goods. And what has happened is the city has been typically paid for a portion of those goods directly. So I guess that's what Councilwoman Lacy was asking for. Do you have a specific list of things that are needed? Equipment, sports equipment?
I can get you this.
but before that, how about the nonprofit status?
Does it have to be a nonprofit, or how long would it have to, like, if they want to make?
I don't believe it has to be a non-profit status, but then the issue is who is the receiving party?
Right, I mean.
And is the city gonna be comfortable
Typically, we
dealing
pay,
with the individual?
we've been presented invoices from a vendor to buy equipment for Port Allen High. And we'll get the invoice, and the city.
Like the person that we're purchasing our shoes and uniforms from, you want to invoice from those persons?
We'll
Yeah.
pay that person directly.
Right.
We just cannot, yeah.
But the other thing you have to understand also too is this is AAU. AAU in the public event, it's for kids that excel through sports and they participate in stuff outside the state and outside the city. This is not gonna be something they're gonna be here in the city of Port Allen. If it was a recreation, and that's the part of that, we give out certain equipment for kids that's participating here inside the city of Port Allen, which benefits the kids in the city. But when you're talking about, AAU goes different states and they hold tournaments and so forth, that's a different function.
How many kids on the team from Port
It's
Allen?
on Port Allen.
All
All
of them.
40 from
All
Port
of them
Allen?
Port
Yeah,
Allen.
it's Port Allen, it's the West Baton Rouge.
Port Allen base.
Yeah, it's all kids.
When you say West Baton Rouge and Port Allen, it's two different.
It's Port Allen. It's all about kids from middle school, high school, Port Allen Middle, Port Allen High, Port Allen Elementary.
And is it open to any kids, all kids? Was there a certain limit though on the amount that can participate?
No, it's no.
So what we need to do is get an invoice from them, we're gonna help them get that.
Yeah, typically the council has been presented with an invoice, and I'm trying to think of one of the past examples. There might have been an invoice from one of the vendors around here for helmets or for jerseys for X amount of kids, and whatever the dollar amount that the city agreed to contribute, and the city paid that vendor directly. The city did not just give money to the actual entity that was requesting the money. So that's how you've done it in the past. That's basically been the policy.
Right, and then the council has to remember also that, you remember the Pelican team that came here, that, wanted assistance with the baseball team that, argued for. They got the same issue, but they weren't a traveling team, that was just for recreation here within the city, here within the parish. Usually AAU is for those kids that excel beyond recreational type activities, similar to what West Baton Rouge put on.
Well, the Pelicans, that's actually a feeder, is turned into a feeder program for Port Allen High School.
Right.
So it's not rec ball.
Right.
Yeah, so just.
Well, personally, me, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's something to keep our kids out of trouble in the summer. And they all from Port Allen.
So is there any other donations y'all gonna do, like for as like drinks or things to help us with the fundraising?
Well, we can't do that with donations. It's not, you have to be a part of, buying some type of equipment or something of that nature that be city owned.
And I think we was working on this at one time, we kind of just
We have
seemed to drop the ball.
the
all in
corporate
the
endeavor
end.
piece.
Yeah, about put, we have to put something in place that can identify all these areas, so it won't be like we looking like the bad, like we trying to turn people down, because we really wanna help our community. But when we don't have nothing, guideline, nothing that's stated like now, I understand what you're saying, Mayor, like these are kids outside, these kids come be from outside the city. But these children, they are in the city, but some could be from outside the city. Like, but if we don't have all that,
Well,
and we just going out what we have done in the past, I mean, we gotta have something, a system in place.
I think what you were referring to,
Yeah, and then donation amount, how much
But
we
we don't
give
have
in.
no students, no kid that.
Outside of the-
No, we don't have none of it.
I think y'all were looking at, annually, what is your community development? And then out of that, every year, the city participates in certain events. And you can look at your past events and figure out, okay, we gave it X amount of dollars that year for that event, X amount of dollars for that event for the year before. And then you typically, out of whatever that dollar line allocation was, how much of that goes for, let's just say, the reoccurring events that y'all do every single year. And once you take that out, then you kind of know how much, you have left over for, kind of these unforeseen, or not unforeseen, but kind of the non-reoccurring, where you have a particular group with a particular need may come up with an idea that, the city finds beneficial or something like that. I think that's what has been discussed last time about, that way you can kind of plan out where your budget is, and it'll help you figure out, well, we know where we're at right now. We know we have this event coming up, that event that's going to be coming up. So how much is that going to leave in the funds that would allow you to participate or maybe not participate, depending on how the budget lies at that particular time.
And then who do we help in the qualifications and all that? I guess some of that needs to be identified as well.
You could, but that's going to be hard to put in paper ahead of time. A lot of that's just going to be, taking it, hearing the people out and asking questions to satisfy each council member's, just awareness. Okay, well, I know what this is. I find that this is a benefit to the city that outweighs the cost of doing it. We can certainly try to put something in writing, some kind of criteria in writing ahead of time, but it's, you also don't want to really be locking yourself into something like that as well. Something, you may come up with something that, well, that doesn't really fit the criteria, but, that's something we really want to do, and then you're tossing it anyway. But,
yeah, in general, I thought the criteria was just open, citizens from Port Allen, whether it's youth or elderly, so I don't have a problem with it, but they need a list though, in order for us to help, I think.
Yeah, they just need to get the invoice of the uniform and the tennis shoes. About how many players that need uniforms and shoes?
All of them have, I think all of them have uniforms. 10.
10.
10 uniforms, that's including the
Yeah.
top, bottom, and the shoes?
Yeah. But I can get you
An invoice?
So, 10, so that's 2,500, so y'all said it's 250 for the whole outfit?
yeah.
$250 for the expenses.
It's $250 for the top, the bottom, and that's their registration as well.
What's the last thing?
The $250.
For the top
But-
and bottom?
Yeah.
Not the
Those 10
tennis
don't.
Registration.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's the uniform, the bottom, but those 10 don't have either.
So,
Oh, okay. Okay,
what's the name of y'all team?
The West Side Wildcats. The coach is Kurt Murphy. That's the head coach.
Any more questions, bro?
just get the invoice in and, I guess we see what we can do to help you.
they don't vote on anything tonight,
No.
so
Thank you.
they can't take any action tonight.
Thank you.
Anything else? Item number 6, adjourn.
Call the personnel committee to order, establish a quorum. Could we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hubble,
Here.
Ms. Gordon,
Here.
Mr. Riviere.
Here.
No business, so we adjourn.
Finance committee, item number 1, call to order. Item number 2, establish a quorum. Item number 3, roll call.
Ms. Lacy,
Present.
Mr. Hubble,
Here.
Mr. Brown.
Here.
Quorum established.
Adjourned. Mayor first.
Good evening, Council. Very short tonight, a couple of announcements. LMA has their 86th annual convention It's gonna be in Alexandria this year, August the 3rd through the 5th. Early bird registration has to be turned in by June the 22nd. So if you're intending on going, I need to know before June 15th, next week in June. And we'll submit the application. There's various hotels, so if you plan on going, you need to plan ahead of time because these hotels don't last long. But just get with me and I'll give you the information if you're interested in going to the convention. If I don't hear from you, that means that you're not interested. The other thing, if you saw the news, the city of Port Allen got a B in the grading of the water system by DHH. B is good, but we can do better. They found several deficiencies, but we're attending to those so that hopefully next year we'll be in a rating. Also, tomorrow we got the National Day of Prayer. Pastor Apostle Ville and several other church and leaders will be at the depot at 6 p.m. if y'all want to come in out and pray. It's usually held on the levee, but this year we're going to have it at the depot on LA 1 at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Y'all got an introduction of the budget for next year. I hope y'all reviewed it. If you got any questions, please let me know. Unfortunately, it won't be adopted at the next meeting because we didn't put it in the newspaper in time. So the adoption will be at the June 10th meeting. But still, if you have any questions concerning next year's budget, you need to let us know so we can make any adjustments to the budget. Other than that, we tending to some sewer issues at this particular time. We had another issue at 10,000 block of Louisiana Avenue, the private drive to energy. There was a crushed line that separated, and we had to call the emergency crew out to repair it because it was inconvenience to the people on that particular private drive. But Spinks, who handled the sewer issue here on Court Street, was gracious enough to answer our call, and they came over today, and now they're repairing that line for us. So that's another, issue that we have throughout the city, concerning our aging sewer system. We continue to complete the repairs at the Con Park. We should be finished up with those bathrooms at Corn, but we need to start focusing on what we want to do with that development. That's 10 acres of land that we need to develop as a recreational facility. So we need to come up with a plan as to what we want that area to look like in the next future. Other than that, that's basically it. Unless somebody else has something.
Yeah.
Marilyn, you say a plan for the park. Didn't we have a plan, sit down in a meeting and drew about all what we wanted to see there?
We had a discussion. It wasn't.
But I'm saying you can go off on what we had with the people who's
Yeah,
coming
but
in.
you have to put it in the plan. Yeah, it was just a discussion, but we need to get back at the table.
Right,
Find
that's
out,
what I mean.
where we want to go.
Okay.
And if possible, like, the young lady, Miss Saida, she has she's interested in, she's a resident here in the city of Port Allen, and she has some great ideas, looking at some of the parks, other places, so she's somebody that seemed to really want to be on board with that project.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, if I could have a point of personal privilege, I would just like to introduce the council to one of our audience members, Miss Casey Hollins. Ms. Hollins is our newest associate at our law firm, so we wanted to bring her to the council meeting and introduce her, and hopefully she'll start taking on some of the load and helping us out as well. So it's Casey is a graduate of Southern Law. She spent time in Mayor Broom's administration across the river in EDR, and so she's ready to work.
Yes. Great to meet you all.
Thank you. And one correction, the budget adoption is June 14th, not June 10th. That's the second Wednesday in June. Thank you.